Hi, how are you? My name is Jack, and I have prepared for you this week the finest of foam flinging cuisines in the form of the Cybereason Dart Blaster. Let's get into it. Alright, so backstory time about this little beauty right here. It was winter break, 2021. I was coming back from college for the month, and a family friend who worked as a technician for the Devils came by and said, I have something that might pique your interest. And he hands me this thing, this straight out of Halo, if it was shrunken down and made cheaply thing. So apparently this tech company called Cybereason came to him asking if they'd be willing to sell these blasters at Devils games, supposedly. Especially with him being the technician. And of course he said no, because they can't do that. And it never got sold there. However, he got to keep the sample. And this thing is actually surprisingly good for what it is. For perspective, plastic quality is not as good as Nerf, obviously, but being a Chinese knockoff, that's expected, but it is far better than Buzzbees, which may say more about Buzzbee and their plastic quality, depending on your perspective. However, very little creaking, very sturdy, very solid, and it's really good. Sling points are unsurprisingly shallow, but it is pretty light, so it's fine. I feel like this is more of a rattle some off and then just dump it sort of blaster. It's not very expensive from what I've seen online, at least. Stock is a bit small, I would have to say, for me personally. I do like a tucked in feel, but this has a little bit too much tuck for me. Some whole stock is small. However, I find that this position is the best position to hold it anyway, and in my case, my wrist doesn't get in the way. However, you can just cut that off if it's not your style. Well, I guess we'll get into batteries. It takes 4 AA's back in here in a tray. However, the wonderful thing I found about this is, as I grab a screwdriver, that you can actually, because the tray is removable and it just has exposed lead, you can actually fit a 9-volt in there. And I dropped my screw. Hold on a sec. But you can actually just push a 9-volt right up against it because the leads connect perfectly. And just with the help of a little block of wood, just to make sure that it just stays in place. And hold on, flashlight time! Yay! This is my first review, so I apologize. But as you can see, it just fits snugly in there, and it stays in place really well even without the wood. But the wood is just to make sure, as long as you got the connection right, to make sure you're not running the flywheels backwards, it does work. So running on the 4 AA's, it's about strife performance. However, knocking it up to the 9-volt significantly increases its performance, and it is very solid. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same performance as the Adventure Force Spectrum. About that, in terms of accuracy, it is trash. It's used this way, all over. However, this one I find in terms of firing is much more reliable than my Spectrum personally. My Spectrum has a problem where if a dart is left in the mag for 2 minutes or more, it does not fire. And it gets jammed and I have to clear it, which might be a thing with my Spectrum. I need to take that apart and look at this still. However, this one fires competently. Turning the blaster on next. Very important, as you might assume. Now, your prying eyes might have noticed there's no rev trigger. So how do you turn it on? Well, you hand this to someone, I've found, and if they don't find it in 2 minutes, they won't find it at all. There's a little switch right here, as you can see. You pull it back, turns it on. push it forward, turns it off. For righties, you can probably do it just with the thumb. I'm a lefty, so you can use even just the motion of your finger to do that, of your pointer finger. So it's pretty, even though it's on one side, it works fine for both. It holds 10 rounds in a drum, in an indexing drum. Pretty decent capacity, all things considered. That's how much you're getting with Spectrum if you buy it and you're using the stock mag, and that's for more than if you were to buy a Strike. Even though you can't really buy Strike anymore. We'll say Phoenix. For more than you can get with this Phoenix and the stock magazines. So pretty good, all things considered. Safety features are kind of like, I would like to say they did their best, but they didn't. So, obviously, there's a jam door up here, so you can clear out any jams when they occasionally happen. However, obviously, you can really easily stick your fingers into those flywheels. So, they made sure that, when the jam door is all the way back, it's not going to fire. However, there's a little problem with this where if you just wait for it. Oh wait, hold on. Is it on? No, it is. Now it's on. I'm sorry. If it's. That is all it takes to turn that thing on. Reasoning, which you will see more clearly when I do an internal and mod guide for this, or rewire, whatever it's going to be. It uses a detention spring to disconnect the circuit. So by pushing back on it, it puts pressure on the detent spring, disconnects the circuit. But the moment you take it off, it reconnects, obviously. So, China standards of safety through and through. Don't really have much else to say about it. I guess I could point out the space in there is pretty wide, which still makes me wonder why it spews the darts in every direction. Probably more to do with the flywheels, which I will be fixing soon in another video. Special little thing about those flywheels going on, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. But, it's basic principles going over this. I don't really have much else to say about it, and I don't want to waste your guys' time, so I might as well show you it firing. So, let's get on with it. Take it away, Other Jack. Thank you, Other Jack. Thank you very much. Now, darts I'm firing are Adventure Force waffles and then Little Valentine waffle heads, the generic, aftermarket ones. So, this should hopefully give you an idea. I'm going to see if I can fire over and at a good angle that you can properly get an idea of its accuracy. Sorry, I just hit the camera. Now, some things you'll notice, that was actually a pretty decent grouping. I prescribe that more to the testament of waffle head darts, more so than I do to the accuracy of this thing. If you put any sort of other dart in there that might just have some mild inaccuracies, it will spew it everywhere. But for the purposes of what I need it for, it does pretty darn fine. So, I am done with this section now that you've seen the firing demo. So, back to you, Original Jack. So, we've reached that portion of the video. Conclusions about the Cybereason blaster. There aren't any specific or what's the word? There's no real good reason to go finding it, to go searching for it. They're only, from what I've seen, around $20 online, which is around the price of what a Strife was when it came out, if I am remembering correctly. A Spectrum is $5 more, and is going to be much more accurate, mag-fed, additional attachments, all sorts of stuff. However, if you are thrifting and you come across this blaster, I'd recommend giving it a chance, because you might just find yourself pleasantly surprised. Thank you for watching this video. Once again, stay tuned for my video next week. In that one, I will be breaking down a handle mod that I made for my Alpha Trooper, and then after that, we'll be getting back into action with a rewire and a special little mod idea that I have for this blaster. So, again, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.